Check.
Motivation Monday.
I see where you're going with that.
Buckle up. It's the Insurance Dudes Podcast.
Mr. Craig.
Mr. Jason, it's another Monday.
It is a Monday. Do you feel pumped? I feel pumped.
Pumped.
Yes.
I got my Pono shirt on.
Oof. That means you're pumped.
Pumped.
Well, I got a good one this week.
Read it. I know you're going to read something, aren't you?
Yes, from Mr. Vince Lombardi.
People have heard of him.
Yeah. Leaders aren't born. They are made. And they are made just like anything else through hard work. And that's the price we'll have to pay to achieve that goal or any goal.
It's the price of admission.
The price of admission, which kind of fits this week with one hot guest. That's right. I said hot. Flamin' hot.
Flamin'.
Is Mr. Garrett J. White.
Mr. Garrett J. White. He brings it.
He brings fire. Every single time that dude talks, he brings
100%.
fire to any room, any podcast, anything. He is mesmerizing.
He is. And you know how he ends every email? He writes the end. He writes the end at the end of every. He's the best. I mean, all these little quirky things. You know, he's great.
It's so good.
Yeah, he is. Now, if you don't like language, you watch it.
Right.
But it's all good. I think that it's
Yeah, we talk a lot about leadership. So that's why we picked that quote, which is something that we need to do. I mean, especially in this year, but I mean, us as insurance people, right? It's so easy for us to be, I don't know, like kind of like wet blankets, right? We're all making some residual income. So this year might not be, insurance as a whole might not be affected as much as, let's say, a restaurant who might have had millions in the bank and then 3 months later they're going bankrupt.
Yeah.
But we talked about insurance agents making a stand and just us in general making a stand, especially in this climate where you get beat down for any opinion you have. And Mr. Garrett J. White has some serious opinions, and he's not afraid to stand up for them.
That conviction that he has when he takes that stand, it's something else. And, he's also very, very, very open to criticism. And especially, I mean, did you see how of course you did, you were there, but everybody listening are going to see how he holds himself accountable too. I mean, he's very raw and very real about the things that he knows he didn't do well or that he knows he could have done better. I mean, talk about somebody beating themselves up. You said, don't be so hard on yourself, Mr. Craig, and look at what Mr. Garrett did.
Right.
So it's very impressive, but bringing that kind of energy and that kind of honesty and rawness to leadership is, it's so effective, right? He's authentic. I mean, he's not making anything up.
And I think that's the deal. Like as a whole, as insurance agents, we're thought leaders, right? We need to stand up right now more than ever. I think people in general need to stand up and be the leaders they need to be for their teams, for themselves, for their families.
100%.
And I think that maybe we're a little soft these days, but like we're so afraid of offending people, but we need to be those leaders, especially with what's going on this year. We need to. It's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, well, we're all individuals. There's no one way to do anything. And you have to be able to sit in your story. I mean, it's you're bringing that, right? Your agency is different than my agency. Your folks, you have a different team than my team. Do we try to do similar things? Yeah, absolutely, because they've been working. But as you go into those meetings and you're talking to your team, I mean, they're looking up to you as the person that's going to navigate through these waters, right? And so it's imperative to be that leader. You have to rise up. It's really easy to sit back and complain about oh, we didn't do well, it's their fault, or so and so didn't do something, and to point all that blame. But can you imagine complaining about your team to Garrett? How do you think that would go? What do you think would
Not
happen in that
good.
situation? Right?
Right.
I mean, it'd be like, hey, go look at yourself in the mirror and say it. Because if
Yep.
if something's going wrong there, it still comes back to you. Or not
Yep.
addressing that thing. Like there's no reason you should be complaining about that. You should have that conversation with the person and get real with them if
Yes.
it's not working, right? And it's not good for anybody.
Yeah. Leaders aren't born, they are made. That means you
Yeah.
have to make a conscious effort to be that leader.
Yeah.
And I think that I, as insurance agents,
Hmm.
we made the decision to be a leader. So if you don't want to do that and you don't want to stand up for stuff and you want to just be passive, well, you chose the wrong position. You, as an insurance agent, cannot do that, especially when you have a family, you have to be especially as a gentleman. um the guys need to lead their families. The insurance agent needs to lead their agency.
Hmm.
Why? Because you have people relying on you. You can't just be passive, because what happens when we're passive? With You can start with your staff. What happens to your staff? Then they don't do a good job. How do they go, then they go home and they feel like crap. You're telling them, "Oh, you're not getting any sales." Well, then they feel like crap. Then they take that home and they spread that around their family or your kids, right? Like, if you raise crap kids, then that's your fault. And then they're going to go out and be crappy to everybody else. Like,
Well,
we need to be the leaders.
100%. And I think that maybe perhaps why it becomes a struggle for that is that it's really easy in this position, to your point earlier, is to sit back. The residuals are coming in if you've been around a while, and you can sit back and just put out fires all day. Is
Right.
that going to be effective? Is that going to bring your agency along and make you more profitable year after year? 100% not, right? Especially the
Right.
way that this market is going and the way that this industry is going. There's going to be a lot less agents down the road in the
Yep.
entire industry, right? It's going to be a
Yep.
consolidation. There's going to be bigger agencies. But if those bigger agencies are not going to be the ones where the owner sat around and collected those checks. And you know what? I bet
Yep.
you somebody's pissed at me right now for saying that, but it's 100% true.
Right. It's
At least that's
100%
my
true.
story.
Yeah. And remember, leaders aren't born, they're made. So that
All right.
means if you want to be that person, you have to not be the person you are today. You have to start being like the person that you want to be
Mm,
so that you can be that person.
sure.
It starts, you have to have the mental gymnastics to really do a work on yourself before
Yeah.
you can step into those
Well,
shoes.
be honest. You got to be honest with yourself. That's the
Yeah.
first thing that he said you have to do. You have to be able to beat yourself up. And then of course love yourself after, right? But the
Yes.
other thing like that I found so remarkable was his perspective on himself. Like he said, I think he said he's 44, right? The 44-year-old Garrett, if the 34-year-old Garrett had talked to the 44-year-old Garrett, he'd be like, dude, you don't know what the hell you're doing, and then the
Right.
34-year-old talk about the 24-year-old. I mean, that's a whole nother problem in and of itself. But then as he looks to the older one, he knows that one 10 years from now is going to be so leveled up compared to the one that is blowing it out of the water now. And it's
Spoiler alert, Mr.
just
Craig.
pretty, ooh. Well, I didn't give away everything, Mr. Jason.
No, there's so much. Do not miss Wednesday.
Yeah,
But
you do not want to miss.
in the meantime,
Hmm.
start changing. Like, start doing the gymnastics it takes to get to be that leader you need to be.
Yeah, and you don't have to do everything. That's the other thing, right? We turn on the fire hose and we try to do it all.
No,
Just pick one thing. One thing. Do one thing different this week.
a little
Have
bit
you
better
always
than
have you been
yesterday.
wanting to do a meeting every day? Have you been wanting to do a sales meeting every day and you haven't? Well, you know what? Maybe you missed it this morning. That's fine. Do it tomorrow, and then do it Wednesday,
Yes.
then do it Thursday, and then do it Friday. You'll be like, I did 4 days in a row. Then
Right?
do it next week. Do all 5 days. and just keep building on that. But with 100% certainty, I can tell you that when you meet every day with the staff, it starts moving in the positive direction.
Yep. So make yourself into the leader you want to be.
Yeah. And you know what? Guess what, Mr. Jason?
What?
How about on Friday, we check back in with them and we see if they did it.
Let's
Little
do
accountability. Yeah.
We'll have some coffee too.
Hey, and if you're watching this on YouTube, why don't you put in the comments what you're going to do?
The tubes. That's right. Join the Facebook group and let's talk about it. Let's talk. Coffee.
Let's talk. Yeah. Hey, that's a spoiler.
Well, that's a motivation. A motivation with no hesitation.
Or resuscitation.
Hey, you've got to check out the Insurance Dudes Inner Circle coming soon, where you get extended interviews as well as live coffee talks in our private Facebook group. Join the mailing list today at theinsurancedudespodcast.com. Hey, thanks for checking out the Insurance Dudes. Hey, please subscribe. We got some really great stuff coming out.